Hey everybody, welcome to The Early Edge, a mentorship podcast for next generation leaders where we share insights we wish we had learned earlier in our careers.
We want to equip you to learn more, grow faster, and thrive in both your work and personal life. I'm Jay.
And I'm Jeff. Let's get into today's episode.
Hey there, Jeff. Today we've got a fun episode on how to advance to the job that you want. This comes from conversations we've been having with our kids, together about our kids, planted in our brains, because my awesome daughter, Sydney, sent me a message and said, hey, Dad, here's an episode idea. I like where I work. I like my job. And I know it's a pathway to getting me to the job I want to have. And I know it just might take some time. And in talking about our other children, where they are, all of our kids are kind of navigating end of college or have been in the workforce for a couple of years, some recent job changes, considering some job changes or navigating. And so it sure seems like there's some folks in their peer group who might benefit from some conversation about how do I end up in the job I hope I get?
I think that we can safely say that the majority of everyone listening is either in a job they love, a job they can't stand, or somewhere in the middle.
Or they're looking for that job.
And so it's, depending on the situation you're in, what are some of the things that I can do to position me for the next role, whether that's something you're trying to achieve a month from now, a year from now, a few years from now, or I'm in a really bad situation, how do I think, what do I do to work my way into something different?
Yeah. And do you think this applies to a couple of our kids who are going to be entering the workforce too? This probably helps, I would think, is how do I think about I'm going from college to a role?
I think so. I think it is different.
Yep.
Because they're seeking their first, and they're not in a situation where they know whether they love it or hate it yet, or do they like their boss or hate their boss.
That's
or
true.
Something like that. But still, I think a lot of the principles that apply here are things they can use and position themselves to be ready for that first one.
Yeah, I think that's a good word for what we're talking about, is how do you position yourself, present yourself, how do you engage with your boss in ways that give you more control over the time it takes to get into the roles that you think are the ideal roles you want to pursue. Yeah.
And each of us have two children who are in the workplace.
Yes. Well, mine's internships.
That's
looking
true.
For the real official job.
That's right. We still have two in college and one in high school, so we've got a few more to work their way there. But we both have kids that are early in their careers. And in my case, one is in HR and recruiting, just moved from Atlanta to Cincinnati, started a new role, new company. And the other one has been with the company he's been working for a couple of years. And he's certainly thinking about, okay, what's next and how do I position myself to get there?
Yeah, that's great. So we'll go through just a few principles related to mindset, behavior, and also how do you engage with your current boss and try to have that be a beneficial relationship and a resource to what you're doing. The first thing is always mindset. Do you have an idea of what you want to get to? Do you have a reasonable vision? Maybe it's just the next role, and maybe it's 20 years from now, I see somebody doing something I'd like to get to, and I know I'm 2 or 3 levels from there, but having an idea of what you're aspiring for is critical. It can be the type of work. It can be the types of things that one does in a job. It can be the environments I'm in. It can be the products I'm around. There's many different things for different people that define what good is to them, but being thoughtful about that is necessary to know how to make decisions against it.
Yeah, I think that's true in both work and personal life. Have a clear picture of, your future hopes and dreams. If you've got something you want to do, have you really either thought through it or put it down on paper so you have a clear picture of it? And I think the future state, and we're talking about mindset here, the future state and thinking about mindset is probably different if you're in a role that you really love.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's sometimes forgotten is I love my job. So I'm not taking the time to think about what's next, even if that next is 5 years down the road. People just don't think about it.
Yeah.
if they're in a role they love. If they're in a role they hate or a job they hate, they're probably thinking about it, but they're thinking about it in a reactive,
I need to get
drama-filled way.
I
That's
need to
not
get
healthy.
away from this.
Yes.
And I'll do that no matter where I go.
Yeah. Gosh, just get me out of here. I don't care where I go. And that's not healthy in most cases. If there's obviously something unethical or something abusive going on, get out. But I think the more common case is, I was passed over for a promotion, or they're just not leveraging me.
This is boring.
Yes. Yeah. Or they're just not very nice to me. All those scenarios are sometimes you are reactive and you're a little bit dramatic and you make a bad decision quickly versus strategically thinking, what is my mindset and how do I put myself in a position to then make the right next decision, whether it's to stay or change.
Yeah. And that makes me think of another related scenario, which is I'm not that unhappy, but I'm actually not thriving either. And at least I know this, so I'm going to stay here. And that is a recipe for 10 years from now saying, what have I done with the last 10 years? And this isn't filling me. And now I'm a veteran in this space and it's even easier. And I might have even gotten promoted in this thing, but I'm in a rut of something that's not that fulfilling. So, this is advice I wish I had when I was in my 20s, because there are memories of being in jobs that were unsatisfying, or I was unsuccessful, or I reacted to a bad one and jumped into something else. In this case, it was business ownership from one bad one jumping into something else. So I think the mindset is you have to know where you're headed, what you would like, what you're aspiring for, at least directionally. And then also you are the number one owner of this process.
So true. So important.
And your boss, if you have a great one, will be a partner in that to help you navigate getting to where you want to go. But sometimes you are on your own and you can still be successful if that's the truth.
Yeah. So much of this, I think, comes back to the people around you.
Yeah.
Am I in an environment that encourages me and challenges me and wants me to be my best? Or am I around people that are bad in some ways? We could talk about what bad means for an hour, but when a bad situation happens, if you haven't thought long-term, sometimes you make a immediate decision that's not the right choice.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the conversation you can have with your current boss to find out if this is an ally or someone that can support you. And we'll also say, even if they are not in your corner proactively trying to help you advance, the feedback they give you is useful. So let's talk about some things that we should say when we engage with our boss as it relates to our career advancement.
Yeah, and it probably starts with being proactive. Last episode, we talked about the first 60 days in a new role or new job. And at 30 days, we said, if your boss isn't coming to you and saying, let's sit down and assess, you need to go to your boss and say, let's sit down and assess.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same principle here. Hopefully, if you've been in the role for a little bit, you have a relationship with the leader you work for, and there's some trust. If not, you need to start that.
Yes. Excellent. And that happens a couple different ways. One is being trustworthy. Am I doing what I say I would do? Am I showing up on time? Am I a hard worker? Am I respectful when I give feedback? So once again, you own your stuff first. And if you're doing that, then you can start to ask questions. You can try to understand your desire to know where you stand. How does your boss see you? Are you promotable? Are you high potential? Are you low potential? The common understanding of how you are viewed by that boss is crucial.
Yeah, and it's so much better to be in a position of early in a company or early in a role, early in a relationship where there's some trust, to go to your boss and say, hey, I really enjoy the contributions I'm making. I really enjoy the team I'm on. I like working here. In a few years, I aspire to, and you've got a time horizon there. Where that gets hard is if you've been passed over and you have a bit of a negative mindset and you want to sit down, and in your mind, you want to point out to them, hey, I deserved this. why am I not? And that is hard.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes you still may have to navigate that, but it's so much better to start this proactively early and let it be a conversation of development and two ways, two-way conversation.
It's about the future.
Yes.
By the way, if you happen to be in the I got passed over and I'm frustrated, asking why is fine.
Yeah.
Declaring that they made the wrong choice without context is not fine.
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
Your job is to go figure out why they made that decision. And they may have made a bad decision, but at least you know why they made that decision.
That's right.
And then you know where you stand. You know, perhaps the answer is, oh, we didn't communicate well. Sorry about that. There's another role coming up where you would be even a better fit. And that's why you didn't get this one.
And your mindset in that moment, again, assuming you like the company, you like the people you work with, even if the communication isn't great because of something you do or something your boss does, at that moment, your mindset can communicate, hey, I'm all in. Did I want that job? Sure. I applied for it. Obviously, I would have loved to have gotten it, but I'm open. I'm here. Let's work together
and
on this.
Boss, let me just give you an idea of the vision I have, what I think I'm shooting for personally. I'd love to hear where you see my potential. Do you have an idea of your vision for where you see me going? And if you can have those conversations and that boss is in your corner, it will just be better for you.
Yeah.
What if your boss says, I'm too busy for that conversation. I need you where you are. I'll talk to you next year.
Boy, hopefully that never happens. That might be one that I would say I'm out of here.
That's a data point.
Yeah, I mean that's a data point. If you were kind of introducing that scenario, and then you said next year.
I was trying to paint the
next month is a little bit different.
I'm afraid I see this. I do see this. It may not be as overt as I'll talk a year. The more common weakness of a leader I see is I'll talk to you next month, then I'll talk to you next month, and they don't do anything. So they don't give you it really will be a year. They just put it off and ignore their responsibility as a leader. If I have that boss who's not engaged in my development, I may look elsewhere, and I may leverage an HR business partner in the function in my organization who I can say, can you help me with this? Or there may be other avenues in your business in that current company. It just might be harder if your boss isn't part of it.
You and I have been in lots of different roles. We've been the leader. We've worked for leaders. We've led leaders of teams and things like that, and we've seen quite a bit. I do think there are some people in leadership roles that just aren't good at this.
Yes.
It may not be that they're telling you they don't want to meet with you because they think you're a lousy worker. Hopefully, if they think you're a lousy worker, that's been communicated and discussed, and you've had a chance to change or what have you. But some managers and leaders are just not very good at this. And I think if I was in a position where that was told to me, I would still push so that there was at least some communication of what my hopes and dreams are and desires are so that I know where I stand.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the push. Before we move on to personal behaviors and how you present yourself, I will say the recipe I see where it's the biggest frustration is when the leader isn't too good at it and the organization doesn't have the mechanisms that facilitate performance conversations and career advancement conversations. It's just not a cultural DNA thing in the organization. Then you layer on a manager who's really just about producing the widgets right there, and they're not thinking employee development. That's probably the most common kind of frustrating scenario that I experience.
Yeah, and just to throw in a tidbit here on this is too many companies do put performance review programs in place, and those can be great if they're executed correctly or well. So many, though, leaders see it as a burden, and they have to do it because HR says you have to do it.
Yes.
And either once a quarter or once a year, they fill it out and submit it, and they check the box, and they think, okay, I've told this person what I think of them and given them some feedback. But boy, either as a peer, a coworker, a leader, the best feedback is just give it daily.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, let's talk about the things I can personally take responsibility for in how I'm behaving and how I'm presenting myself in the time while you were waiting for the opportunity. And one of my favorite quotes is, luck is where preparation runs into an opportunity. If you do nothing to take control of your career advancement, most likely you're not going to encounter that lucky break of a career opportunity. Opportunity comes, or luck comes, when we are prepared, we do the work, we get ready for it, we are thinking of the next thing we want to be doing, and we behave and present ourselves like we're capable of doing it. And then when the opening comes, or the new job opportunity comes, we are ready to get lucky.
And so is the question behind that, how do I prepare?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do I
make sure I'm ready?
Correct.
Yeah.
The first thing is, how do I behave?
What's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
The first thing to be is behave like you're already in that job. Like you envisioned that role requiring.
The statement I've always heard is think and act like a business owner.
Oh, good. Yeah.
That one kind of is in the same line. So many times we get frustrated. We think, why did they make that decision? Or why are they not paying people more? Or why are they, whatever. Well, sometimes you need to think and act like a business owner. If I own the business, I might need to do what they did.
Yes.
So a little benefit of the doubt there.
I like it. If you have a line of sight on the role you're interested in, you can see, hopefully, examples of it being done well. And then I would try to emulate the behavior. Are they getting in early? Are they speaking up in meetings? Are they presenting ideas? What would someone in that role be doing? And can I start to emulate that behavior?
Added to those, I know a lot of people still work remote. There's a lot of return to work and all that. Both of my two sons who are in the workforce both work in office. Mm-hmm. They're different environments, but they're both in office. Do you think appearance is, I don't mean like showing up at work. I mean your physical appearance. Is that still a thing, even though we're not as dressy as the world was 20 years ago?
I think it's the nature of the business and industry.
Yeah.
I am doing work for a large technology company, and I had to go buy T-shirts to wear to their office to fit in, because my golf shirts and button-downs I look like the neighborhood accountant because I didn't fit. So their appearance culture is wide open. We just presented at a CPA conference. If we were serving the CPA industry, we probably would dress a little differently. So my answer is, yes, it does matter. It's relevant. And back to the thinking of the behavior of the role you want, dress for the role you aspire to.
Well, and at that conference, I remember the reception the night before the conference started. You and I were going to the reception, and we wondered, what should we wear? And I think the idea here applies to work too. It's you don't necessarily need to be the best dressed. Certainly don't be the least dressed. Probably be dressed above average.
Yes, I was going to say
there's probably a shorter way to say that, but
go for the average and then +1. And you can never go wrong being sharp, being well-groomed. And this also ties back to one of our former episodes around communication effectiveness. Speaking clearly, eliminating filler words, being professional in how you communicate, is it also part of your presentation? Would the person 2 levels above me speak the way I speak today? Do I need to flex or change or grow or mature in my pattern of speech or the way I dress in order to appear ready for the role? Because the person making the decision on whether you get that next role or not is going to be thinking of whether you are ready for it.
All those things make me think people perceive whether I have it together or whether I'm scattered and messy. Yes. You may be the best programmer on the whole team, but if your appearance and the outward perception of other things that may define you as an employee are not so great, you might get passed up even though you're technically the best. All those things matter.
Yeah, and I think that it sort of feels like, what are all the variables that will help me or hurt me in this search to grow? And I need to manage the variables the best way I can. If I really want to take control of getting to the career level I want, in the job I want, in the company I want, I can take some of the risk out of it. I can eliminate as many of the variables as possible by the way I think, the way I behave, the way I communicate, the way I understand my strengths and weaknesses today. What do I need to add on as a skill? Am I willing to go invest in my own training outside of this company's training program because I want to learn a new programming language because I really want to do that kind of a job. And so my question is, how much do you want it? What are you willing to do that others aren't willing to do to get this job?
There's some of these that are, to me, easier and harder, but that probably does depend on the person. I think the appearance and the outward things are a bit easier, right? I'm going to dress well. I'm going to be groomed or whatever relative to the role. Mindset and relationships are many times harder or take more time. So of all of these things, start them and realize some, I can go buy new clothes today and get a haircut or what have you and appear consistently right away. But some of them, you've got to build on them. Your point of trust building, faith is given, trust is earned is a great, so they may have faith in you, but you got to build the trust.
Luck is where preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
So this preparation is building relationships, developing skills, forming new habits, getting out stretch opportunities. Hey, boss, I'll take on that prep for that meeting. Can I get a few moments to be part of the presentation, asking for ways to get noticed? It's all the ambition and aspiration for that to move. And then my daughter, Sydney, did say something I thought was really wise about patience. That is, sometimes it takes time. Some time's going to have to pass here where I'm going to get those opportunities. I'm going to get some exposure. I'm going to build relationships, and being okay and understanding that some of your opportunity preparation is time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I bet for a lot of people that's really hard. Are there things you can do? Let's say that time is a year or longer, depending on what you're aspiring to do. It could be longer. Are there things you can do along the way to try and stay motivated toward the goal and not get? There's a lot of talk about the escape hatch. It's probably in a whole nother episode. We all have in our minds sometimes, I just want to pull the escape hatch and shoot out of this and get somewhere else.
Yes.
But patience to not pull the escape hatch before it's too soon.
Yeah, I think to keep yourself motivated, continue to be clear on what that thing is that you're shooting for. Do great work where you are. Maybe develop some skills outside of work that are connected to where you want to head. And certainly ask for stretch opportunities inside your current role to get to do those things. Sydney sent me this note coming off of a temporary assignment with a different department in her organization where she got to do some things. And then the end of this assignment culminated in a presentation where she got to present in front of some pretty high-level folks in her organization. And she was fired up about who was there and the feedback she got. And it was really cool. And if you can find ways to get a little bit of a taste for the next level, do it. Take on risky stretch assignments. Yeah. Raise your hand. Yeah. Put in the extra work.
Yeah. And I know because I saw a picture who was there, and I'm not going to mention a name or we'll lose half of our audience immediately. So we won't go to government. There. Yes. We won't go there.
No. Okay. Sounds like we're headed toward the key takeaways. What comes to mind for you?
The first one for me is make sure you've got a vision of where you want to be, whether that's, again, a year from now, 5 years from now. Try to make it longer term, because most of our audience earlier in their career need to think longer term and have the patience to let that plan play out. That's probably the first one, is have a vision.
Yeah, and for those of you who are kind of comfortable, I would challenge you to think 5 or 10 years from now, if I'm still kind of in this space or this industry or this thing, will that be satisfactory? Will it serve my personal needs? Will it make me thrive and be excited about work? Be willing to challenge whether your current trajectory will serve you if it plays out the way it's going now. And then related to where can I go, start a conversation with your boss. Make sure you know where you stand. Make sure you know what they are thinking. See if you have an ally in your career development. Does your organization have succession planning, programming? Are they looking for the next leader or leaders and you can participate in a training program or something? Be the owner of your own destiny.
And check your mindset before you start this collaboration or discussion. Check your mindset and make sure that you're in the right mindset and not reactive to something that maybe just happened.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great one. Yes. don't make a decision based on something unsavory that took place in the last 45 days.
Right.
Think longer term.
Definitely.
And the last thing I can come up with is take ownership of your presentation, your behavior. What image are you projecting? Are you projecting that you are ready for this advancement, or are you not?
Excellent. I think that's a great early edge for the week.
Excellent. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to The Early Edge, a mentorship podcast for next generation leaders. If you have feedback or would like to submit questions or a topic idea, email us at earlyedge@reddogadvisors.com
or earlyedge@altaimpact.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please follow, subscribe, rate, and review. See you next time.